Hello everyone, my name is Ian, you're watching Big Rock Moto, and thank you so much for tuning in today. So in the last few days, I published my first long-term ownership review of this bike, 2022 Honda Africa Twin Adventure Sports. During that video, I promised you a rundown of all the mods, accessories, luggage, and parts that I've put on this bike, and that's just what we're gonna do today. Now, as you're thinking about parts you want to buy for your bike or riding gear you want to buy for yourself, please consider supporting content creation on this channel by using the affiliate links below in the video description anytime you're shopping for any sort of part or accessory, riding gear, tires, whatever it might be. Please consider shopping at the vendors I've listed below in the description. It really helps out the channel. Another thing I want to mention before I start is that as I show you the products in this video, and you probably know this if you've watched my channel for a long time, but I'm pretty agnostic when it comes to brand. Not just brands of motorcycles, but brands of gear. So whether it's riding gear, whether it's luggage, whether it's accessories and parts, protection equipment, my goal is really to try a lot of different variety of stuff that's out there and then report back on my experience with those products. So I really don't have any particular loyalty to any brand, and what I'm trying to say is that I'm not sponsored. None of these companies are paying me to promote or feature their products. I just want to put that out in the open. Let's jump in. Let's start talking about the luggage. So for this build, I really wanted to go with Moto. Moto, if you're not familiar with them, is definitely one of the highest quality, best engineered motorcycle luggage and also riding gear in the aftermarket, world for motorcycles. It's really top tier premium equipment. So I chose to go with the backcountry panniers and the Nomax tank bag for this build. So the reason I went with the backcountries is that they have a lot of storage. I went with the 35 liters. So you get the pouches on the front and the back, and you get the beaver tail on the side, which is very useful for putting things like swimsuits or flip-flops or extra rain layers or drying out your tent. So they've got all that storage. They're lockable, even though they're soft luggage. They're modular systems, so you can add more storage to the bottom if you want. And of course, you've got the beaver tails, like I mentioned. One thing I really love about the backcountries is that they use a mounting puck system. So you mount a puck to the luggage racks of your bike, and then you simply slide the pannier on, it clicks into place. It takes 5 seconds to mount the pannier, and there's no straps going across the seat of the bike. So very clean install, very easy on and off, and they're built like an absolute tank. These things can slide, they can crash. They're so heavy duty, and because of that, they're not a lightweight option. This is definitely pretty much as heavy as metal panniers, but you're getting the advantage of you're not going to break your leg when you drop the bike or your leg gets swept back into the panniers. They don't get damaged in a crash, they don't bend like metal panniers do, and they're still easy to take on and off. Now I'm going to have a separate video soon comparing traditional soft panniers that go on a rack versus the rackless luggage. So I also have Moto's Reckless 80, Reckless 40, and Reckless 10. I also have a Tusk Highland rackless system. So I'm going to be comparing the pros and cons of each in a separate video, so stay tuned for that. The tank bag. So the Nomax tank bag is pretty amazing. The thing I like about this tank bag, well, there's a lot. One, it comes with a hydration pouch. So if you don't want to carry a hydration pouch on your back to reduce weight and fatigue, you can use the 2-liter included hydration pouch that comes out here, and I used it on my last trip on this bike, and I really loved having that. The other thing is, unlike most tank bags, which are just one big space where everything gets jumbled up inside and becomes messy and disorganized, this has like 3 or 4 different levels, different layers, so you can organize all your stuff. So tire gauges, cell phones, charging cords, maps, sunglasses, keys, food and snacks, everything you can organize into separate spaces. It also has a beaver tail with a MOLLE attachment on the top. You can expand this thing. It's got a sunglasses pouch. They really put so much engineering and thought into what adventure riders actually need. It's a great tank bag. Also, I used this at Overland Expo when I was there. You can unclip it from the bike. It has backpack straps, so you can have all your important stuff in there that you need for the day. If you're at an expo or something, or if you want to go for a hike, park your bike somewhere, go hiking, put it on your back, it's a backpack. Great design. Couple more luggage items I want to mention. For day riding or for general use, I have the Rig Gear Dual Sport tail bag. I feature this in so many of my videos, and I link it in all my videos. It's very, very useful. You can mount it just about on any bike. They also make a larger adventure version, which I use for more capacity. I have both. Great product, been using it for years. The other thing I wanted to show you was that I don't have these mounted right now, but these are Lone Rider mini bags. These are 6-liter bags, and the nice thing about these is you can use the included straps, and what I do is I strap them here to the crash bars on the front of the bike. So I'll mount them up to the crash bars if I'm on a long trip and I want extra storage. It keeps the weight low and it distributes some of the weight forward. These Lone Rider bags, they also have MOLLE on the on both sides and the front, and they have a Velcro patch, I think, to put your country's flag there. They're a single bag system, so there's no inner bag, so it's very easy to get things. I like to use these for like gloves, snacks, water, food, stuff like that. They roll top closure, they roll up. These are great bags, and huge thanks to Lone Rider for sending these out for testing. I actually have all of their, quite a different selection of Lone Rider stuff, and it's very, very good. Now, speaking of luggage, also before we end here, I do have a couple different options for a rear bag. So if I'm on a camping trip or a long trip, I'll take off the tail bag and I'll mount, this is the Lone Rider duffel bag, and I'll put the photos and kind of the description, actual name here, but it has the beaver tail on the top. It's kind of a nice size. I think this is around 25 or 30 liters. It's got MOLLE everywhere. It's got really nice straps. Again, the beaver tail is really nice to have. It's just a nice size, and it has an internal stiffener to keep its shape. So I do like this bag. Now I've also got the Moto Backcountry 40 duffel bag. So this kind of matches the backcountry panniers. Now the thing about this bag is it's very heavy duty, and it's very spacious. This is the 40-liter version. They also make a 30-liter version. It's got the beaver tail. It's got storage inside the beaver tail. One thing I like about this, which is both good and bad, is that it's a side opening bag. So you've got openings on each side. So what that means is that you don't have to unstrap the bag from the bike to get to your stuff. You can unroll one side and get things out of the bag during the day. Now, I find it to be a little bit awkward sometimes to do that roll closure when everything's attached to the bike. So keep that in mind. But overall, this is an incredibly well-engineered bag. And of course, it does have the backpack straps as well. Let's move on from luggage and talk about bike protection. So the Africa Twin is very vulnerable with the radiators and with the side fairings and the gas tank kind of sticking out. The engine's also vulnerable to impact. So I went to Outback Motortech, very respected name in motorcycle protection. What I like about Outback Motortech as a company is it's a small family-owned company, but also they put up videos on the internet and they show the bikes being slammed to the ground on concrete with the bars on. I don't know any other company that is willing to do that. They put a lot of engineering and back and forth testing into their products. So I wanted to go with them for this bike. So I got their Max Protection Combo, which is the upper crash bars, the mid crash bars, and the lower engine protector bars. And it comes with an integrated skid plate as well. So everything bolts and ties together and integrates very well. I found that it installed very easily. The instructions were very good. They have video instructions. The quality is incredibly well made. The tubing is very thick. It's thicker than most crash bars. And the way everything mounts together, it's extremely stiff. And although I have not really crashed this bike in any sort of like major crash, I have dropped it over and tested it and picked it up, and the bars protect very, very well. So very happy with the Outback Motortech stuff. I also have the Outback Motortech center stand, which of course is compatible with everything else I discussed. The center stand, it pops up. I can even do it in flip-flops, not that I recommend that, but it's well engineered, and the bike pops right up on a center stand. For a bike like this, chain maintenance, touring, loading up with luggage, I like having that center stand. Also, if you have to change a tire, it's great to have that center stand. A couple more items while we're talking about the protection. So I've got Barkbuster VPS 2-point mount handguards. So I use these on almost all my builds. The reason I like Barkbusters is that they're bike specific. So the Africa Twin has a certain layout of controls and handlebar setup that the brackets are different than some other bikes. So Barkbusters engineers for the specific bike. So you get the kit and it bolts on, there's no interference, everything fits perfectly like it's factory. They include bar end weights. They're extremely strong. They come in different colors for the shields, and you can also get the storm shields, which are larger. These VPS shields have an adjustable shield, which I like. So anyway, love the Bark Busters. Can't say enough good things about that product. Let's talk about comfort items. So how do I stay comfortable on the bike? Kind of start what I'm looking at here. So I've got the Cool Cover seat cover, and I've used this on several bikes now. The reason I like these cool covers is because they allow air to flow through, so your butt doesn't get as sweaty. Sorry, that's too much information, but you don't get as much rash over a long day. If it's hot and you're sweating, you're working on the bike, or even if you're just touring on the highway, it gives you airflow. Also, the seat doesn't get hot when it's sitting in the sun, and it doesn't get wet because the water flows through it, so you don't sit in water. So I found these to be a year-round solution to make my bikes more comfortable, and I just ordered one for my KTM 890 adventure. Looking forward to getting it put on. So no affiliation with the company. I just really love the product. It improves the comfort of the stock seat dramatically, and it's very affordable. Moving down, so I've got BikeMaster highway pegs mounted to the Outback crash bars. I'll link these below. They're like 25 bucks. It's one of the cheapest, best mods you can do to any bike if you have the place to mount them. But if you put on crash bars, you do have a place to mount them. It allows me to stretch my legs out on long highway rides. Highly recommend that. I've also got the Honda Accessory Enduro foot pegs. They were extremely affordably priced. I think they were under $100, if you can believe that. Very well made. They're a lot wider and have more grip than the factory footrests, which are in somewhere in a box now, so highly recommend that. I've also got the Tech-Spec tank pads. These protect the sides of the bike from your legs, scratching them up and with the dirt, and also give your legs, your knees more grip when you're standing up or working through difficult terrain. And I also think they look really, really cool. So definitely recommend that. Moving up to some of the wind protection on the bike. So the buffeting on this bike there was quite a bit of wind buffeting in my opinion. So what I did was I fitted the Puig fairing deflectors or wind deflectors that attach here kind of behind the fairing, and they provide additional wind protection out for your shoulders, and they reduce the buffeting. So they worked for me. I noticed a big difference with them. The other thing I did was I put on the Puig. This is the large size clip-on wind visor. You can fine tune the wind flow. The laminar flow that comes through here shoots the air up over your head, smooths out the buffeting. Or you can go like this, and if for hot days riding off-road, riding slower, it dumps the air onto your helmet and provides ventilation. So I use these on almost all my bikes, and I love these things. I always talk about them like a broken record, but they work, and I swear by them. One more thing I have on the wind protection is I have this fork deflector. These Africa Twins have a big gap here down by the forks where the air comes up and causes turbulence. So I think it's called SW Geotech or something like that. I'll put the link below. I'm not affiliated with them. I did pay for this product, but it helps reduce the wind coming up through the forks, and that's something easy to install. Tires. So everybody loves to argue about tires. So I started out with the stock tires on this bike. I didn't like them. They didn't have enough grip in the dirt. Then I went to Moto's Rowell's rear and I think a dual venture front. And while those are excellent off-road and on most situations, I found that on the freeway with the rain grooves we have, they still had a little bit more wobble than I wanted on this particular bike. So I went to the Dunlop Trail Max Missions, and I found them to be pretty grippy in the dry dirt that we have here in Southern California. They're not going to be good in mud and snow and deep sand, so that's a compromise. But they're a long-lasting, quiet, stable tire that's also great on the highway and great on the twisties, very stable. So highly recommend them. I've used them also on my GS. So for these bigger adventure bikes, it's hard for me to find a tire that I recommend more than that Trail Max Mission. Talk about navigation for a second. So while this bike does have the Apple CarPlay and Android Auto built into the dash, since I own the Garmin Zumo XT and I have multiple mounts, I put a mount on this bike. So I used the mount that came with the Garmin Zumo XT and wired it into the battery of the bike so it's got permanent power. And I put it right here because on this bike, it's not really conducive and there's no place to mount it above the dash. The dash takes up, or the TFT I should say, takes up so much room and with the windshield. So I elected to mount it to the handlebar just below my dashboard. It's in my line of sight, it's easy to use, highly recommend that. Now there's a performance mod I want to talk about that I've done. So I did not get the DCT model. The reason I didn't get DCT is because I thought the manual shift would be more fun, more engaging, and I don't ride a lot in urban traffic, stop and go, where the DCT is beneficial. It also adds some weight, and although I love the system, I decided to go manual. So, But I got the Honda quick shifter, and let me tell you, it's one of the smoothest quick shifters I've used. It's a Honda factory accessory. You can install it in about half an hour on your own. I ordered it from Revzilla. It came within a couple days, put it on, and this thing, it shifts good. It makes a great blipping sound up and down. Highly recommend the quick shifter if you're gonna own one of these Africa Twin 1100s. Quick shifter's great. Quick shifter was worth every penny of the $500 I paid for it. All right, well, I know that was kind of a lot of information in a short period, so any questions or comments, please put those down below in the comments section, and I will do my best to get to your questions down below. Again, I just want to mention and put a plug in, please buy your products, riding gear, accessories, parts, luggage, whatever you're doing for motorcycles, use my links below, Revzilla, Rocky Mountain, Moto, Amazon, and others. It helps support the channel, and it doesn't cost you anything extra to do that. So I really do appreciate that. Again, any questions, let me know. Other than that, please ride safe. We'll see you out there.